Hello, it's Julie from Spellbound, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of these fun cherry brooches. They're really easy to do, they don't take many materials, and they look absolutely super on a cardigan or a jacket. Now the materials you'll need are very straightforward. You'll need a 20mm badge or brooch pin, just the inexpensive sort that have the two holes on the front. And you're going to need some 8mm beads for the base inside the cherry itself. I'm using a red frost, but it could be a shiny red or it could be a purple one if you're going to make black cherries perhaps. Now we're going to need some seed beads. The leaves themselves are made of size 8 seed beads, so I've got a selection of size 8 seed beads there. I'm going to need just a few grams, probably 4 grams in total. I'm going to need some size 10 seed beads for the stalks. Now we're only going to use 25 beads in total. I'm using a bronzy colour and some size 10 seed beads to cover the base beads to make the cherries. I'm going to use a transparent red in this case, but here you can see we've used a chalk red. Now I'm going to use a Nymo D thread or a Superlon D thread, and that's in red, and I've got a size 10 beading needle. It's going to take about 20 minutes to make the brooch, so I hope you'll join me. Both the leaves and the stalks of the cherries are supported by a block of 4 size 8 seed beads that sit in the middle of the front of the brooch pin. So we need to apply these 4 size 8 seed beads to the centre of the brooch pin before we can proceed. Now I've prepared my needle with approximately 1 metre of single red thread. Now normally I would use a longer length of thread, but because we're applying directly to the brooch pin, it tends to get caught up around these little mechanics here if we use too long a thread. So I'm going to start with 1 metre and join more on when I need it. And to anchor the thread, I'm literally just going to tie it on to the brooch pin itself. Just a double knot so that I'm attached next to one of the holes on the top of the brooch pin. Right, now I'm going to put on my first 2 seed beads. Now you can see here I've got my size 8 seed beads for the leaves, and I've pulled aside 4 beads for this block in the centre. I've chosen 4 beads that have got slightly larger holes than the average in the selection, because we're going to have to pass through these beads lots of times. So I would suggest you do the same, then you won't struggle to get your needle through. Right, so it's 2 beads on. I'm just going to go straight down the top of the other hole. So I've made a strap of 2 seed beads across the top. Now I'm going to come back up the first hole, and I notice I'm avoiding catching the pin of the brooch. So I'm coming across the back surface of the brooch plate. I haven't caught the thread around the pin. Easy done when you're concentrating on your beads. And I'm going to put on the other 2 size 8 seed beads and go down that second hole again. So I've got 4 seed beads on the front of my brooch pin, but at the moment they're very loose, as you can see, so we need to secure them. So it's back up the first hole. Again, not caught the pin. And we're going to go through the first 2 beads and in the opposite direction through the second 2 beads, and back through the first 2 beads again. So we've joined them together in 2 rows of 4, and it feels more stable already. So we've got a pair here and a pair there. At the moment they're still a bit mobile, so I would like to join them better to the brooch pin itself. So I'm coming out of this hole here on this row, so it's this bead, so I'm going to go up through the hole in the brooch adjacent to that bead, and that will make a strap of thread over the side of the brooch. If I go back through those two green beads, you can see I've got a strap of thread here and a strap of thread there. That's from the original knot. That's the strap I've just made. I need to do the same on the other side. So through these two beads and through the hole, back through these two beads and up through the other hole. If I pass back through them one more time, let's have a little look what we've got. If I open the brooch pin on the back, you can see we've made one strap coming over the side on each hole and on each side. Right, let's close that again because it's less likely to catch. And let's start making the leaves. Now the leaves are going to be supported by these two seed beads on this side of the brooch. That's where my needle is emerging. So I now need to add on the first beads for the leaf. And I'm going to put on 9 seed beads. So I've got 5 there, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine seed beads. I'm going to leave out the end one and come back through the previous bead, so I'll make an anchor. So that's going to be the tip of the leaf. I'm now going to put on 7 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to pass through the original 2 on the front of the brooch pin. And those new 7 will sit alongside the first 7 beads I put on for the leaf, and the point of the leaf holds them at the far end. Right, we're going to do the same again. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What we did before was we left out 1, that's the anchor, and we came back through the previous bead, so back through bead number 8 to point towards bead number 7. There we are, so that's the anchor at the end. Now we need 7 seed beads. There's 6 and 7. And we come back through the same 2 beads on the brooch pin again. Make sure the thread comes all the way through. And we have our 2 leaves. Now at the moment they're very soft, so we need to reinforce them. So I'm going to come back up through the first 9 beads. So the 9th bead is the anchor, back down through bead number 8, and back down the second set of 7 beads we put on. Back through the 2 in the middle. Now that leaf has already got twice as much thread through as this one, so it feels firmer than this one. I'm going to do the same on this side. So it's up through the first 9, the 9th one being the anchor at the end, and back down bead number 8 and down the second 7 beads you put on. go, and back through the middle too. So you can see why we had to pick those beads with the slightly bigger holes in the middle, because we've already been through them, these 2 beads here, at least 7 times. Right, now although these are looking better, they're still quite soft. So I'm going to start by adding a few more passes of thread just through these 7 beads here and these 7 beads here. So up the first 7. That's the tail thread from when we started, just get that out of the way. So that's up the first 7 and then down the second 7. I'm not going through the tip 2 beads, but when I do this, if I pull the thread through, it very firmly joins number 7 bead here to this bead here, and it opens out the end of the leaf and gives you a better leaf shape. So I'm going to do the same at this side. I'm not going back through the 2 in the middle, I'm just going up through the first 7 and down through the second 7. And I'm going to repeat that one more time. Now this third time, I'm actually going to come out. You can see here, I'm coming down 6 beads and not the 7th bead. Because now this is nice and stiff, you can see how firm that is compared to this side. I want to make sure it's properly anchored to the brooch pin itself. So I've come out between the 6th and 7th bead here, and notice it's on the side of the leaf with the extra 2 seed beads here that are going to support the stalk. So these are the 2 seed beads supporting the leaf. These are the 2 seed beads supporting the stalk. So I'm going to now pass through the hole in the brooch pin, and that makes a little strap of thread to attach that junction there to the brooch pin through bead number 7. If I turn it that way, you can see there is that extra strap of thread coming out between beads 6 and 7 on that leaf. I'm going to pass through the middle 2 beads, and I'll repeat all that strengthening that I've done on this leaf here. You can see this one's quite firm, this one is very soft indeed. So I need to go around 3 times and make that stitch between these 2 beads here, beads 6 and 7, to the hole in the brooch pin. When I've done that, I'll be back to you and show you how to make the cherries. I've just completed strengthening this second leaf, and I've made that extra little stitch between beads 6 and 7 to attach the side of the leaf to the side of the brooch pin. So you can see now we've got 2 little thread straps on this side and 2 little thread straps on that side. And this is the side with the extra 2 seed beads in the middle that we're going to use to suspend the cherries. So the leaves are all attached to the top 2 seed beads, leaving these 2 seed beads here of the original 4 to support the cherries. So it's these 2 here. So I've come back up through the 2 seed beads that support the leaf, and I'm now going to start the cherries. So I need to come through the 2 seed beads that are going to support the cherries. Now everything we've done so far has been worked in size 8 seed beads. We're now going to move on to size 10. Now I need to put the beads on for the stalk first, and the first stalk is 15 beads long, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've chosen this nice bronzy seed bead because it's got a slight green tinge to it which works well with the palette, but you might like to use a green bead. And I'm going to add an 8mm frosted round for my cherry. Now at the moment that cherry is too small and it also looks a little bit naked. So we're going to enhance it with some straps of red seed beads. Now these are size 10 and I'm going to need 9 beads for my first stitch. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seed beads. Now my thread is coming out of the bottom of the red bead, the large red bead. I'm going to go in through the top, out through the bottom, and that makes the strap. I'm going to repeat. So that's another 9 seed beads, and through the red base bead, we're going to call that, I think, the base bead, and another strap. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's giving us 3 straps. I'm being very careful not to catch the thread or the end bead on any of the previous straps as I make these ones. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you go just through the red bead, don't catch the stem, and out through the hole. And one more. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I have 5 straps around my base bead. Now you can see it's already starting to make it look a lot bigger, but we've got some big gaps. Now I could continue just to put on straps of 9, but that makes the top and the bottom of the base bead very congested. So we're going to use a little technique that helps with that. So I'm coming out of the bottom of the base bead, and I'm going to pass up through just the bottom one of the first strap. So that's coming out of the bottom 1 red bead of the first 9 bead strap. I'm now going to put on 7 beads. So that's 7 seed beads, and I'm going to go up the same strap and pass through the top bead of that strap. Very little catch in the thread there. There we go. As you can see, that middle 7 lies parallel to the middle 7 of the original strap, and then I pass down through the base bead again. There we go. So that's that strap done. I now need to do the same for the other 4 straps. So I'll show you one. So it's through 1, put on 7, and through the top 1 bead of the same strap. So it's this strap here. So it's through the top one of that and down through the base bead. And you can see it's already starting to fill out. So I'm going to repeat the same on the remaining 2 straps, and I'll be back to show you how to complete the cherry. So I've completed my extra straps. So each of the original 5 straps has a shorter strap attached to it. You can see the bottom of the cherry is quite covered. The top of the cherry is quite covered, and around the side you can just see the base bead peeking through, and I think that's rather nice because it makes it look more like a cherry than if it was just a solid ball. Now at the moment the thread is coming out of the bottom of the cherry because that's where we've finished each stitch. I need to get the needle back up to the top so I can make the second cherry. So I'm going to put on one red seed bead for my anchor. I'm going to go back up through the base bead and up through the stem beads. I'm going to just catch a couple of stem beads to start me off. There we go. You can see this little seed bead is going to pull up as an anchor at the bottom. And we keep on going all the way up and through those two seed beads at the top. In the green colour, the size 8 seed beads that are supporting the stems. And there we have our first cherry complete. We're now going to start the second cherry, and the second cherry hangs down from here on a slightly different length stem. This one is just going to be 10 beads long. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's our base bead going on as well. And our first strap of 9 seed beads. So we're going to make this cherry in exactly the same way. Here we go. And let's put on our first strap. And you can see I've started the second cherry. Now I'm going to complete this second cherry in exactly the same way as I made the first one. And then I'll be back to show you how to finish off. Now I've completed my second cherry on the slightly shorter stem, and my thread is emerging at the bottom. So I need to put on the anchor bead so I can return up the stem to the brooch pin. So here we go, there's my anchor bead going on, and back up through the 10 beads of the stem. And through the 2 beads that are supporting the stems at the top. Right, so the actual beading is complete now, but these 2 cherries are very vulnerable at the moment. They're only on one thread that went down and up again, so there's only 2 thicknesses of thread through them. And ideally, if you want a bunch of cherries, they should hang slightly apart like that. So if we keep going back and forth, up and down these stems, we'll build up the thread in the stems themselves, which will make them stronger, and it will also make these a little stiffer so you get the effect that you want. So I've come out at the top of the long stem, so I go all the way down the long stem, through the base bead, through the anchor bead at the bottom. I think I passed through that one. I did when I came through the hole in the base bead. I also passed through the anchor bead. Yep, that's feeling nice and firm. And then back up through the stem beads. Pull nice and firmly because you want to increase the tension in the thread through the 2 size 8 at the top and down through the small stem. Now that time I didn't catch the anchor bead as well, so through the anchor bead and back up through the cherry and the stem beads. And the 2 green beads that are supporting it at the top. Let's have a look at the difference. Now already those feel firmer and they're sticking out at a better angle. I think I'm going to go once more through, and then I shall finish off the thread, and I'll have another cherry brooch rather to add to my collection. It's a really quick and easy project to do. You don't have to put red cherries on, you could use purple ones to make black cherries. So a purple base bead with a very dark purple or black seed bead over the top. And the leaves don't even have to be green. You could do autumnal ones too. I hope you'll give it a go, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.